Hello my friends, and welcome to the vlog where I finally sit down, read through all my beta feedback, and start making notes. I have been highly anticipating making this video because so the deadline for beta reader feedback was like 10 days ago, but there were a few that I was still waiting on. So I'm finally sitting down to do this, and it has been eating away at me for days and weeks, basically ever since I sent it out to beta readers. So I'm finally here, sitting down with my draft open on my computer, and I still have to figure out a way, basically just my game plan for this. I don't really know how I'm gonna go about all this, but I figure the best way to start is just to start reading. I'm also gonna have to be really careful in this vlog because the title of the story is everywhere. Not like in the story, but just like names of documents and like the header, you know, on every page and stuff like that. So, also, I got a new glass screen protector thing. I don't know if y'all have noticed, like the past few months, I had replaced the screen protector on my phone, but it wasn't positioned right, so it was like half the screen was kind of gray. I got a new one, so we should be fine. It should look a lot better. Basically just counting down the days until I can get better equipment. I also got a new tripod. It was the only one they had at Walmart, short notice yesterday, so it's not very good, but we're going to have to deal. It was like $5. So I'm sitting here at my desk. I've got my smoothie. I've lit my candle. That's how you know it's serious, when I light a candle. But my notebooks and stuff on the floor over here. I also low-key look like I've been crying, and that's because my allergies have been terrible, and my eyes were immediately just so red and watery and itchy the second I woke up, and I'm not even going to talk about it anymore because it's going to like trigger something in my eyeballs. So today's a big day and I'm so excited. Let me give a little bit of a background before we begin, and I will make a beta reading video, or like a sit-down video where I talk about my experience with beta readers and stuff like that, the process and everything, so I'm not going to talk about that too much here. So I have 15 beta readers. There were more, but some people dropped out. It was just, you know, so right now we have 15 beta readers. I know that I have 8 betas who have sent in their stuff. It's done. I have everything I need from them. I have 2 that are on an extension and it should be here within the next few days. And then I have 5 people who have not sent me anything. 3 of them are like family members, not family members, but like family friends slash family members. And like 2 of them I am basically just going to text or call or talk to whenever I need any more information, so they didn't send any like notes or anything, but I can easily like contact them. And then there's 2 of those people who I just haven't heard anything from, and I'm just going to assume at this point that I'm not going to get anything back from them. So currently I have 8 people who have emailed me with all their notes, and I haven't opened anything because I wanted to wait until I could sit down and look at everything all at once. So today we're going to be doing that and opening everything. I had originally sent out the draft as both a PDF and as like a Google Doc. So the people who used the Google Doc can edit on the side, not like line edit, but they can leave comments. So I'm also going to be reading through those comments today. I just scrolled down a little bit and there are 3 comments on the first page. So I'm not somebody who is very good at taking criticism and I've gotten much better at it, and like realistically I know it has nothing to do with me. It's not a personal attack, okay? I know that. I've had so many people, if I talk about it like that to anyone, they're like, oh, don't worry, it has nothing to do with you. And I'm like, I know, but I'm still going to be upset. Not really, okay? I'm being dramatic, okay? I'm not upset. I'm not gonna get upset. But I've never been very good with criticism, and this was the first time I had ever sent any of my writing, anything I've ever written, to people. This is the first time anyone's ever read anything that I've ever written. So, as a Leo, we're in for a wild ride. I need to put my hair up because it's getting everywhere. Ow. I don't know how to go about this. What should we do here? Oh, also, okay, I'm doing a very bad job at explaining this. So when I chose my beta readers, I sent out a little guidebook, and it had everything that I needed them to do. Basically like a syllabus if you're in college and you've taken classes and stuff like that. It was basically a syllabus. I had a lot of fun making it. I love making like lists and forms and documents and stuff like that, so I had a lot of fun. But basically what I was looking for was just like a page of notes at the end summarizing their stuff, maybe like a few paragraphs at the end of every chapter to kind of summarize their thoughts. And then I had specific chapters. It wasn't a lot, it was just a few chapters where it was something specific to the story where it's like, was this character's introduction as good as it could have been? What do you think about like this part that happened? And so for those specific chapters where I was looking for something really specific, I made Google Forms questions. If you filled out the beta reader application, it was just a form survey thing like that. And it was like 2 or 3 questions for each of those chapters. And then of course, if you were reading the Google document, you could leave notes wherever you wanted and a comment on the side. And I do need to say also, since this is only draft 2, the story is not perfect. I did not make sure it was absolutely as perfect as it could be before I sent it out because there were big picture issues, plot, structure, outline issues that I wanted to make sure I had figured out before I really made it as best, like as the best it could be. Because if I had refined it and all this stuff and they're like, oh, these big plot issues are too big and you know, it would kind of be a waste of time. So I'm fully aware that when I sent this out, it was not a perfect draft. There were plenty of things that I would have done better, but I wanted to go ahead and send this draft out because I just wanted to make sure that those big things were being acknowledged and talked about. So like in the guidebook thing, where is it? I wrote major issues like plot, story structure, characters, timeline, and inconsistencies. So I wasn't looking for line edits. I wasn't looking for, you could have phrased this sentence better, or this word choice is repetitive, or something like that. Of course, I made sure to let the betas know that they could make notes wherever they wanted to. If they saw something that, you know, they wanted to mention, they could do it. But I don't want them looking for small issues. I don't want a bunch of comments on that. I want to focus on the big areas, like weak areas in plot, unresolved plot threads, weird scenes. So when I'm going through this and I'm seeing any notes that pertain to smaller issues, again, they could do that, but when I read it, I'm going to just read it and acknowledge it. I'm not really gonna focus a lot of my attention on things like that, at least for the time being. In this like run through of reading the notes, I'm gonna ignore anything like that. Oh my gosh, I'm opening up my email and I'm getting all of the notes that everyone wrote, and I'm just gonna open, I don't know how to go about doing this. Okay, I'm just gonna open everything. I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh. Oh shoot, y'all are organized. Someone saved the whole draft like in a separate PDF and then made a key and like highlighted, like went through it like basically the Google Doc except on a PDF with all their notes. This is so, y'all are so like organized. I love it. I knew I picked good beta readers. I'm so scared. I'm like so nervous for some reason. I mean, I know the reason, but I'm like trying to open them as quickly as I can without like looking at anything, you know, like you kind of unfocus your eyes and kind of just like not look at anything and try to do it without looking, you know what I mean? So I just spent some time trying to look up ways that other people have organized their beta reader feedback because I don't know how to do this. I'm trying to think of ways that I can like go about this, but I think my biggest issue is that I don't have draft 2 printed out. Just because of everything that's going on right now, I haven't really had a chance to go somewhere to get it printed. And I really like being able to like see it and hold something and write and stuff like that. And so since I don't have that, it's kind of hard for me to kind of get just a base plan in a way, I guess. So I'm just gonna read through stuff and write stuff down in a notebook for right now. Also, I have decided that my desk is too small at the moment to comfortably get work done. So I'm gonna sit on the floor. Also, I have this new mirror right here. It's actually my sister's, but yesterday she got a new TV and decided to take the mirror out. So I was like, I'll take it. So it's now just sitting in my room because I was like, I want a new mirror. I am much less organized for this process than I was for my rereading draft 1 and making notes process, if you can't tell. Alright, so I have a sort of setup here. I've got my notebook, pen, colorful pens for color coding of some sort, and I've got my computer here in front of me on this little thing. Lighting is so bad because it's right above me. It makes my nose look gigantic. Oh my gosh. Basically what the plan is, what I think I'm gonna do, is just take it chapter by chapter and just go through every single note pertaining to the first chapter, write everything down, go to chapter 2, do the same thing, write it down. Alright, new setup, because I got tired of the other one. Here's this, gonna have this here. Stack of boxes, computer. Also, I open the windows again because I hate artificial light. Alright, let's start, I guess. Alright, so it's probably been about 20 minutes, and all I've done, I haven't even looked at the actual feedback and like notes that people have sent in individually. I just looked at the Google survey form that I made for chapter 1, because I asked about like the pacing, like was the pacing for the first chapter good, was it too slow, too fast, and then I asked if the characters seemed realistic from the get-go, like, you know, does this hold your interest, and would you want to read on? And it's really interesting. I hope it doesn't speak too much about what this process is going to be like, because literally, like, first question is like, is the pacing too slow, is it too fast, or is it just right? There is not a single solid agreed upon answer. I like the pacing, thought it was nice and quick. Right on the mark. Tad slow, little fast, just right, little fast, very comfortable pace. So I just hope that for at least a lot of issues I can get a clear answer, I guess. I think the general consensus for the first chapter, just going off of all these main questions, again, I haven't read any of the individual notes that people have sent, but just from this, I think the overall consensus for this chapter is that the pacing is pretty good. A big problem that I have, that as soon as I started reading people's comments about it, I was instantly like, I know, yes, that totally makes sense. I really like to start with action. I like to just immediately get into it and just introduce you to the characters in the world. But then I don't really, like, explain what anything is and just kind of assume that the reader knows these things, because in my head, like, I've worked on it so much, I'm like, I know what this is. And I just don't really give a good explanation to a lot of things, and I'm good at description and describing things, but my world building as a whole isn't very developed. It's not very complex. At least I don't write it. I don't really show everything. Also, something that's interesting is in the first chapter we meet Orion, who's the main character, Luca, Jens, and then Maxis. And Maxis has the shortest appearance in this chapter than the other people, but I think the consensus is that Maxis is the most interesting. And that's, I mean, for me, that's not a good thing, because I need Orion, who's the main character, to be the most interesting. I want to focus on issues. I mean, I want to focus on everything, but if I see something that's generally agreed upon, I know that that's, you know, probably what most people in the audience are going to think. With Orion, who's the main character, again, just from this one form, they're interested in her character, but her personality doesn't quite shine through as much as I wanted it to in the first chapter. So that's a big thing that I'm gonna have to go back through and make sure I can get across. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and write some of these notes down for chapter 1 and then go through people's individual notes and just see what they have to say about chapter 1. Honestly, I'm scared. This is probably my own self-doubt. I'm scared that the comments for this chapter are the best. It's gonna be the best comments that I'm going to get. I don't know. I guess we'll keep reading. Alright, so I'm taking a very small break to eat some lunch, but it's been really interesting to like read through so many different people's comments. I'm still focusing on like the first few chapters. There were a few people's where I read like their general overall notes about the whole story. I think my biggest issues is so far, I don't introduce enough world building. It's not complex enough. I don't really immerse the reader very well into the world. I also seem to struggle with establishing a solid POV. Okay, it's supposed to be Orion's point of view, and that's what it's written as, but I fluctuate a lot in how that's written and how things are portrayed. But something I've noticed between different people's feedback is a lot of people are like, this is Orion's POV, it's third person, but it's Orion's POV, and we should see things in her perspective. And we shouldn't be focusing on all these other things. And I've had a few other comments where it's like, I'm feeling too much of Orion in this, and I want to see everyone else and like the world, and I need to expand out of just Orion. So I feel like I just haven't established a solid point of view, and it's confusing. And so people were saying that the second half was better because there was more, the stakes were higher, there was more. I think overall I could still do better with upping the stakes, but the first half was too boring, basically. I've had a lot of people say that it was kind of hard for them to get past the first few chapters, and that's because nothing happened. Or it happened, but it was too wrapped up nicely, and I didn't really give the characters any trouble, and it just felt too clean, I guess. And I totally get it. I'm also really happy that nothing so far has been mean. Well, of course, I don't think anyone would write anything that would come off mean, but I find myself just nodding and agreeing, like, yes, that's true, like, I didn't do that right, etc. And I'm not getting offended, which, again, I'm not getting offended for, like, myself or anything, but I find myself being like, yes, thank you, someone put it into words, now I can work on fixing this issue. I haven't been, like, upset, and I've been finding myself agreeing with these things. There's, I think, if there's been any, I can't even think of them right now, but there hasn't really been anything where I've fought it or been like, no, like that's not right. It's been pretty easy for me to separate myself from it, I guess, and just think of the story and think of how I can make it better and how the comments will help. So that's been pretty nice. But again, I haven't finished everything. I'm nowhere near even like halfway. But it has been really cool to see how other people perceived the story that I wrote, especially like specific scenes, like how did they perceive this thing? How did this thing come off? And so it's cool to see how it came off to other people. I'm eating some chili with tortilla chips for lunch. Also, I went to the store yesterday and they had Easter candy on sale. This was 25 cents. It's just an Easter bunny. I'm so excited. I think I've got sort of a system down for going through this right now while I don't have the draft printed out. I'm just going through every single feedback I got, like every document, and I just read what they said for that specific chapter, and I just go through, only read that chapter for each person. And then in my own notes, I write down just some of the main issues. I just want to read everything that everyone had to say about this specific chapter, and then for that chapter just write down the big things that people were saying that were generally agreed upon. Of course, I'm going to go back and read through everything again and kind of reference everything when I have the draft printed out and I can actually go in and physically make notes. But for right now, just to sort of get the gears turning in my head about how I can fix this draft before I actually sit down to write it and actually like make changes, I just want to write down the big things that I noticed in the chapters that people have said that are generally agreed on, that are either problems or really good, and then just write those down just so I have that and I can just start thinking about ways to fix it. Right now I'm on chapter 5, and I think so far it's been agreed upon that chapters 3 and 4 were the best chapters so far, like the best written in regards to character, world building, all of that stuff. World building is still one of my biggest issues, and I know it's worse writing, because like I have world building like written down in my own notes, but I'm just really bad at conveying it to the reader. Another agreed upon thing is that I'm great at description and detail, but sometimes it's a little too much. But it's actually been pretty enjoyable so far to like read all of this, and I'm already really excited to start working on draft 3, which is just crazy to like even say that. Reading through all of these things is both, you know, introducing new problems, things that maybe I didn't recognize that I did, or issues that I had that I didn't realize. And it's also confirming issues that I knew about, and just confirming that I do need to work on these things. But yeah, it's been enjoyable so far. I'm enjoying it. Right now, I'm going to let my phone charge for a little bit just because it needed time to charge. And I'm gonna eat some chocolate. As you can see, I've changed clothes multiple times throughout this video. Chapter 5. Here we go. And also my chocolate bunny. Okay, so I finished chapter 5 and went through everything, wrote my notes, and so I'm about to start chapter 6, and I'm really scared about it because chapter 6 was the first chapter where we meet Caius, the antagonist, and even like in the process of writing this, okay, I have never been good at writing antagonists. I don't know, I'm never good at making someone a villain. I'm not good at it. I feel like I just always, and they become a really weird like caricature of evil, of like twirly mustache and my evil plan, and I hate it. But I am so bad at writing antagonists, in my opinion. I haven't read anything yet, so, but I almost 99% sure everyone's gonna hate him. It's weird though, because I was talking to Gavin. So Gavin was one of my beta readers. He's not a writer, he's not a huge reader, but you know, I let him read it, and so he also kind of gave me notes and stuff like that. And one of the things he said was that I wrote Caius really well, and I'm like, what? I don't believe you for a second. So, yeah, I think everyone's going to say that he's really bad, and like I know this, so it shouldn't even be like a big deal. I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I also kind of deal with the whole thing like if someone says something and I agree with it, but like I'm like, I know, and like I'm embarrassed about it in a way. I really want to like prove myself. And I'm like, I know he's bad. Like, I get it. Like, I feel like I'm about to start reading all of it and I'm just gonna get tons of comments about how his character just fell flat and it was really weird and dramatic and not good introduction to him. And I just want to be like, I know, I swear I can do better, but I can't. Anyway, that's all. I'm just gonna keep going. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Okay, so I just finished, well, I finished maybe 15 minutes ago, with all the chapters in Act 1. And then I just started pacing around, thinking about everything, just talking through a lot of stuff to myself. And I wrote down a list of all of the major takeaways from reading through the notes for Act 1, which is the first 7 chapters. So the main issues that I have come across, sorry, I'm standing on my treadmill for no reason. One of the biggest issues, if not the biggest issue from Act 1, and consequently throughout the rest of the story, is that I am just not giving enough world building to the reader. I'm keeping way too much information from the reader, not on purpose, but I did not explain enough of the world and like Caius, the antagonist, and like his motivations and the rebellion that's going on and the protests that's happening and the Watchers and who everything is and what's going on in the world outside of Orion. So because of that, every upcoming thing that deals with that, because so much of the plot revolves around the current political climate, I guess, of the world and the city and Caius, so much of it revolves around that every upcoming thing is going to fall flat. It's going to feel flimsy, and I've already had comments like that. Like when I was talking about Caius's introduction, the comments were less, oh, Caius just isn't a good character, but the introduction to him was weak because I didn't build anything up. Like, I mentioned him and I mentioned these things and, you know, people would talk about them, but I didn't really explain anything about the importance of it or why they should be scared. And so much of the first few chapters, every subsequent thing is like, well, you didn't give me any information about this. I don't really know how this works or, you know, how the world works, so it doesn't work. It feels so flimsy. So that is probably the biggest issue so far, and I mean, I think I'm only going to keep getting comments like that throughout the story, just because if you can't set it up well in the beginning, you can't really expect the reader to have that passion, you know, for the plot, for the conflict, if they don't even know what's going on. Another thing is that the point of view is maybe a little inconsistent. Not that I strayed from, you know, I'll do Orion's point of view and then I do Yen's point of view or something. It's just, it's supposed to be Orion's point of view, but I focused too much on the world around her and I didn't give as much inside her head. I didn't really have a lot of her introspection and thoughts and stuff like that, and that's another reason why so much of it feels flimsy, is because I didn't really build anything up. Another thing is expositional dialogue. I have a lot of dialogue and talking, and that's kind of how I tell things about the world, I guess. Instead of just sprinkling in details here and there, I just like make characters talk about it and then expect the reader to know what's going on. So I need to find new ways to share information about the world instead of just using characters talking about something. And then another thing, which I also knew going into this was probably like my biggest thing, was Orion. Near the beginning, Orion finds out that her father is alive, and then she gets really like, oh, I have to find him. But in the first chapters before she knew he was alive, I never mentioned him. And so it doesn't feel believable that all of a sudden she's like, oh, I have to find him, because I didn't set any of that up. And I will say I was really nervous about that because Ryan's father was not in Draft 1. That storyline was not at all in the plan for this story. And then after sitting down and going over Draft 1, I decided to add him in for Draft 2. But since it was this new storyline that I was adding, into a second draft, since I had never used it before, those parts, when I was writing those parts, it felt more like a first draft, so I was really worried that it wouldn't work as well because it felt kind of underdeveloped. So I know that's a big thing I need to fix as well. So now that I've talked about all the bad things about the first act, I do want to talk about some good things because there were good things and I was really excited to read them. You know, obviously, understandably more so than the bad things, even though I know the bad things are going to help me make it a lot better. But sometimes you need some good things to soften the blow a little bit. General consensus is that chapters 3 and 4 were the best ones. They were well written, everything was smooth, the character interactions were great. I was really happy to read the comments for those 2 chapters because most of the comments were good. And those were also some of my favorite chapters, so yay! Something that a lot of people said was that I'm really good at writing descriptions and details and making it sound pretty, which I know, or that sounds, you know, bragging, but I made a video where I talked about my writing strengths, and that was one of them. But that does have a downside because sometimes I can do it too much. Oh, another good thing, which I do pride myself on, but I hadn't even thought about it until I started reading some of these comments. Like, I knew it because it's just what I like, but I didn't think other people would recognize it, is my names for characters. A lot of people really liked the names that I chose for characters. They said that they sounded cool and unique, but still somewhat believable and realistic. And that was actually a conscious decision on my part because when I read like high fantasy stories that have names that are all like, they have like apostrophes and like it's just a bunch of letters thrown together, it really turns me off. I don't like names like that where it's just like, it just sounds like a jumble of words. I want it to sound realistic, almost like it could be a name in like our world. So I was pretty happy that a lot of people recognized that. Right off the bat, a lot of people really liked Luca and Maxis somewhat. I would say they were probably the most popular. It was kind of all over the place. There were a lot of things that were sort of, it didn't lean too heavily to one side on a specific opinion, but general consensus at the beginning, Luca and Maxis were probably the favorites. Orion started out maybe a little broody, moody, rude, but she did start to shift to become some people's favorites near the end of the first act, so that's okay. We got that. I don't want her to be like immediately likable from the beginning because she's not going to be super likable, you know, just in the world she's not very likable. I want the reader to like her, but also in a like, she's kind of a witch in a way, but still likable, you know what I mean? So I do kind of wanted to make it to where she's a little more likable at the beginning, but at least, you know, some of that smoothed out near the end of the first act. I think those were the main takeaways that I can remember off of the top of my head. I'm honestly really eager to start writing draft 3. Like already the gears are turning. Also, a lot of my betas had some really good like suggestions. Like someone will mention something and I'll be like, wow, like that's a great idea. And some of them weren't even like on purpose suggestion, like this is bad, try doing this. Like I had one where it was like, oh, this happened, like that sounds really cool, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with that part. And I'm like, I'm just big dumb and I just didn't mention it again. But it's a really cool idea and I'm gonna make a note of it and incorporate it somehow. But they're like, wow, I can't wait to see, that's really good like way to incorporate that. And I'm like, I totally forgot I wrote that. Oh, funny error mistake of the day. There was a part where I wrote the metallic, I was trying to write the metallic tang of blood and I wrote the metallic twang. So, yeah. Okay, so it's 4:30 right now. I think I'm gonna take a small break, just kind of chill, relax, eat some dinner at some point soon. Maybe play some Overwatch, maybe some Sims or something, because this is all great and I'm having a great time, but I just feel like I've been staring at it for so long. And also, like I know I said that all the comments are great, nothing is mean, and it's helpful, but every single time, like I finish the notes for a chapter and I like scroll down to start reading the notes for the next chapter, I get so nervous. I feel like I have to like brace myself, and so like doing a whole chapter is just like nervousness that eventually dies down and I'm fine and it's not a big deal. But the second I have to start a new chapter and like I think about it, I'm like, ah! I'm probably not gonna end up finishing this vlog today, or like I'll finish the vlog today, but like not finish reading the whole thing. But that's alright. Let me know if y'all want me to do like another one like this. I'm not ending the video right now. I just, if y'all want another video where I sit down in depth and not sit down, but like a vlog style video of me going through all the feedback and talking about it and all this stuff. Because it's actually been kind of nice to talk about. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take a bit of a break, let my phone charge, eat something. Oh, I still have some of my chocolate bunny left. Alright, BRB. Alrighty folks, it is later and I'm about to go to bed because I have to work in the morning, but I did make a few more notes. I didn't read through anything, but I started getting a lot of ideas about how I could fix some of these issues that I've been seeing, so I did spend some time just brainstorming some of that, writing some stuff down. I'll probably either make like a separate vlog like this for it, or since I'm in the middle of Camp NaNoWriMo making those vlogs, I might just throw it into the camp vlog. Let me know what y'all want to see, if you want a like full in-depth vlog again like this, or if you just want me to like talk about it day by day in the camp vlog. But I am going to end this one here. So thank you so much for watching. It was a lot of fun, honestly, to sit down and do this. I love like having a day where like you sit down in the morning and you're like, this is what my day is, this is what I'm gonna be working on, especially when it's like a big step like this one. It was a lot of fun and it was good. It was a lot better than I thought. Again, we're still in the first act basically, or we're about to go into the second act, but the comments are nice, which is good, but also there weren't as many problems as I was thinking. Obviously the problems that there are huge, but it's going better than I thought. Like this video, comment if you enjoyed it and want another one like this, but I'm going to end this here. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see y'all in the next one.